Good morning, boys and girls. We are on page 51, lesson 10, homework. So, today we are learning about subtracting decimals. So, I'm going to read this out loud to you. Number one asks you to subtract. You may use a place value chart. So, I am going to use a place value chart because I noticed that really helps me make sure that my numbers are in the correct place and everything is aligned. That's super important to me because when you are subtracting decimals, you want that to happen, okay? I'm going to zoom out a little because it looks like it's taking the whole space. So the first one says 9/10. I'm looking at my place value chart where tenths is to put my 9/10. Next, it says I am subtracting minus 3/10. So I'm subtracting 3/10. I know the decimal goes right here. Now I'm subtracting. 9 minus 3 is equal to 6. And bring down my decimal. So that means that my answer is 0.6 tenths. For problem B, they asked me to subtract 9 ones. So I'm going to put my 9 in my ones place. And also says 2 thousands, so 2 in my thousands. I'm going to fill the rest in with zeros because this is, if I don't do that, it's going to say 9.2 tenths, which is incorrect. Okay? So I finished one side and the other says subtract 3 ones. So I'm going to subtract 3 ones. If it helps you, it helps me to add the zeros at the end so that I can see exactly what I am subtracting. 2 minus 0 is equal to 2. 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. 0 minus 0 again is equal to 0. Bring down my decimal. 9 minus 3 is equal to 6. So I have 6.002. So that means I have 6 ones and I have 2 thousands. Now for problem C, they asked me to subtract 4 hundredths and 6 hundredths, THS. And I'm going to make sure I add the zeros in there in between the spaces so that it creates the correct number. And then they asked me to subtract minus 3 hundredths. Okay? I can put my zeros if I want to straight across, or you can leave it alone. That's up to you. 6 minus 3 is equal to 3. 0 minus 0 is 0. Bring down my decimal. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. 4 minus 0 is equal to 4. So my final answer is going to be 4 hundredths and 3 hundredths. See that? The little 3 hundredths. So technically, you can even put it over here, your answer, if it helps you remember. And I'm going to do the same thing over here so you guys can kind of see that clearly. Now, problem D. For problem D, they want you to subtract 56 thousandths. So I'm going to write 6 in the thousands place, and right next to it is going to be a 5 because you cannot put 2 numbers in the thousands place. You can only put 1 for each place value. I'm going to add my zeros, and then it says minus 23 thousandths. So same thing, 3 goes in the thousands place. The 2 goes in the hundreds because you cannot put 2 numbers in the thousands place. I'm going to add my other zeros and subtract. 6 minus 3 is equal to 3. 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. Bring down my 0. Bring down my decimal. Bring down my 0. So it looks here that I have 3,000. So 0.033 thousandths. And how many hundreds are there? 3. And how many thousands are there? 3. Okay, so my final answer is already right here. I find the words a little bit difficult because you need to go back and look at your place value chart and make sure everything is in the right place. It's very, very hard to do in your head, so make sure you're using your place value chart. Now, for problem number 2, they ask you to solve using the standard algorithm. So you need to make sure you're subtracting it like a subtraction problem. Now, in subtraction and addition, your decimals always align. So if you notice these decimals right here, They are going to stay in the same place and they never move, okay? So right here, they want me to subtract 8 minus 9. I can't subtract 8 minus 9, but I can borrow from my neighbor, and I get my 1 changes to a 0. 18 minus 9 is going to give me 9. Bring 0 minus 0 is going to give me 0. Don't forget to bring down your decimal. So my final answer is 0 and 9 tenths. Okay, now the next problem I have, it says right here, I'm going to subtract 4 minus 0 is equal to 4. 8 minus 9 is not possible, so I need to make sure I borrow. 18 minus 9 is equal to 9. Bring down your decimal. Don't ever forget to bring down your decimal when you see that. Okay, brought down my decimal. 1 minus or 0 minus 0 is equal to 0, and bring down my 4. So my answer is 40.94. On the other side, I have 4 minus 2, which is equal to 2. 8 minus 9 is not possible. I need to borrow. 1 changes to a 0. 18 minus 9 is equal to 9. Now look here, we have a decimal, so I need to make sure I bring it down. 0 minus 1 is not possible. I need to borrow again. 10 minus 1 is equal to 9. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. And bring down my 3. So I have 319 and 92 hundredths. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next problem. The next problem is this one right here. 2 minus 0 is equal to 2. 8 minus 9 is not possible, so I am going to borrow. 18 minus 9 is equal to 9. 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. And make sure you bring down your decimal. 5 minus 0 is equal to 5. So my answer is 5.092. Okay, now over here, I have 6 minus 0, which is equal to 6. 11 minus 5 is equal to 6. Notice I borrow. 4 changes to a 3. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. And I need to make sure I bring down my decimal. 0 minus 4 is not possible, so I'm going to borrow. My 5 changes to a 4. 10 minus 4 is equal to 6. And I bring down my 4. So I get 46.166. On the other side, 0 minus 1 is not possible. I can't borrow from a 0, so I need to borrow from the 1. Okay, so 0 changes to 9. This 1 changes to 10. 10 minus 1 is equal to 9. 9 minus 9 is equal to 0. Bring down your decimal. Don't forget that. 0 minus 3 is not possible. I need to borrow. 10 minus 3 is 7. 4 changes to a 3. 3, bring it down. 7, bring it down. So I have 737 and 9 hundredths. Okay, now I'm going to turn the page. For page 52, they asked me to solve these problems. That's the first thing they asked me to do. So I'm going to solve for them, but if you notice, again, they're asking you, they're using words. So when I see words, I think, okay, I want to use my place value chart because it can be really hard to see sometimes mentally in your head. So I'm going to make sure I write it down. So right here, I have 30 tenths. So that means that I have a 0 is going to be right here, and 3 is going to be in my hundredths place because I have 30 tenths. That's what it means, 30 tenths. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure I add the other 0. It always goes to decimal. And it says I'm subtracting 3 tenths and 3 tenths. So 3 tenths and 3 tenths. So now I can write that number down in my place value chart. I mean, right here. So it's 300.0 and it's 30.3. Now I am going to subtract. I can't subtract 0 minus 3. So I am going to borrow from my 3 because the other ones are zeros. 3 changes to a 2. This 1 changes to a 9. This one also changes to a 9. This one becomes